I felt the cold steering wheel crush my ribs, my fiancée's betrayal echoing in my ears as the world faded to black. But then I opened my eyes. Same desk, same treacherous colleague eyeing my computer. I died a stepping stone. This time, I'm building a graveyard. The first thing that hit me was the smell of stale hazelnut coffee and the aggressive hum of fluorescent lights. My lungs expanded, pulling in a ragged, desperate breath that tasted inexplicably like copper and rain. My hands flew to my chest, expecting to feel the shattered sternum, the warm gush of blood, and the terrifying paralysis that had gripped me in my final moments. But there was nothing, just the crisp cotton of my white blouse. I blinked, the blinding headlights of the oncoming semi-truck fading from my vision, replaced by the sterile grey fabric of my cubicle at Crestview Partners. I stared at the monitor. The date in the bottom right corner glared back at me. October 14th, 2024. It was exactly 48 hours before the Oasis Project presentation. A sudden, violent tremor shook my hands. I had come back. Somehow the universe had hit a cosmic reset button, dragging me out of the mangled wreckage of my Honda Civic and planting me right back into the exact moment my life had begun to unravel. "Hey, Chloe!" Earth to Chloe. That voice, high-pitched, sickly sweet, dripping with fake camaraderie. I slowly turned my head. Leaning against my cubicle wall was Samantha Hayes. In my previous life, I thought Samantha was my friend. We had started at Crestview on the same day. But while I spent my nights buried in spreadsheets, architectural blueprints, and financial modeling, Samantha spent hers networking at the bar with our vice president, Richard Gable. She was a master of weaponized incompetence, always needing just a little help with her assignments until I was practically doing her entire job. The Oasis Project was a $50 million urban revitalization bid for the city of Chicago. It was the crown jewel of our firm, and I was the lead architect and financial planner. I had spent 6 months bleeding over every detail. In the timeline that was now just a ghost in my memory, I had submitted the completed files to the company's shared server and left my master backup on a silver USB drive on my desk on October the 15th. When the morning of the 16th arrived, the server had been mysteriously wiped, and my USB was gone. I had sat in the boardroom in horror as Samantha stood up, plugged a silver USB into the projector, and presented my exact slides, my exact blueprints, and my exact financial matrices. When I stood up and screamed that it was my work, Richard Gable had looked at me with cold disgust. "Where is your proof, Chloe?" Richard had demanded. "Samantha submitted this to me personally last night. You have nothing to show for 6 months of work. You're unhinged and you're fired." I was escorted out by security. Trembling, I had called my fiancé, Liam, needing someone to hold me. He had sent me straight to voicemail. 30 minutes later, as I was driving through a blinding rainstorm, my phone had buzzed with a text from him. "I'm sorry, Chloe. Sam and I have been seeing each other. She got the promotion. I'm moving out. Don't come home." The tears had blinded me. I missed the red light. The truck had T-boned me at 60 miles an hour. "Chloe?" Samantha waved a perfectly manicured hand in front of my face, snapping me back to the present. "Are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced my facial muscles to relax, curving my lips into a placid, clueless smile. The sheer force of will it took not to lunge across the desk and wrap my hands around her throat nearly cracked my teeth. "I'm fine, Sam," I said, my voice eerily calm. "Just a little tired. The Oasis proposal is draining me." Samantha's eyes lit up with predatory interest. Oh, I bet. It's such a massive undertaking. Are you almost done? Richard was asking about it this morning. You know how he gets. He wants it submitted to the shared drive by tomorrow evening at the absolute latest. I know, I lied, keeping my tone light. It's practically finished. I just need to compile the final PDFs and lock down the master presentation. Well, don't overwork yourself, bestie, she cooed, tapping her nails against my desk. If you need me to review anything, or, take the files off your hands to do a final spell check, just let me know. I want us to win this bid. I want us to win. The collective pronoun she always used right before stealing the credit. Thanks, Sam. I appreciate it. I'll probably have it all finalized and sitting on my desk by tomorrow night. I patted my bag where I kept my silver USB drive. Her eyes darted to the bag, locking onto it for just a fraction of a second before she smiled again. Sounds like a plan? Get some coffee. As she sashayed away, swaying her hips toward Richard's glass-walled office, the shock of my rebirth evaporated, replaced by a cold, calculating fury. I was not going to be the sacrificial lamb this time. I was going to be the butcher. I pulled up the actual Oasis project files on my computer. They were flawless. The structural integrity reports, the community impact studies, the budget forecasts. It was a masterpiece. In my past life, I was so eager to please, so desperate for validation, that I handed over my ammunition fully loaded. This time, I was going to hand Samantha the gun, but I was going to weld the barrel shut. By noon the next day, October 15th, the office was buzzing with manic energy. The Chicago City Council would be arriving at 9 a.m. the following morning for the presentation. I had spent the evening completely isolating my real work. I bought a brand new, heavily encrypted external hard drive on my way home, transferred every single legitimate file onto it, and wiped my laptop's hard drive of any trace of the actual data using a secure file shredder program. Then, I got to work on the decoy. I created a folder and named it Oasis_final_submission_master. Inside, I crafted 75 different documents. I gave them incredibly convincing titles. Phase_1_budget_allocation.xlsx. Structural_blueprints_final.pdf. City_council_presentation.pptx. But inside, nothing. I didn't just leave them blank, though. I made them look like they had data, but it was corrupted or entirely blanked out at the margins. For the massive 150-page PDF proposal, I wrote the title page perfectly. I included the Crestview Partners logo, the project title, and even listed Samantha's name as a contributor just to stroke her ego. But from page 2 to page 150, it was pure, blindingly white, blank space, a vast tundra of absolutely nothing. To top it off, I found the exact same silver Kingston USB drive I always used, the one Samantha knew I kept my backups on, and loaded the blank folder onto it. At 3 p.m., Richard Gable marched out of his office, his face flushed with pre-pitch anxiety. "Chloe," he barked, not even bothering to say hello. "Where are we on Oasis? I told you I want those files on the network by 5 p.m. today. I want to review them before I go to dinner." Samantha was sitting 2 cubicles down. I could see her back stiffen. In the previous timeline, this was the moment I proudly told Richard they were ready, uploaded them, and went home to celebrate with Liam. That night, Samantha had stayed late, deleted my network files, and stolen the USB. I stood up, rubbing my temples, playing the part of the exhausted, overwhelmed employee. "Richard, I'm so sorry, but I have to delay submitting the plan on the network," I said, my voice carrying just enough across the quiet office floor. Richard stopped dead in his tracks. "Excuse me, delay? The pitch is at 9 a.m. tomorrow." "I know," I pleaded, widening my eyes. But I found a 2.4% discrepancy in the raw material budget for the Phase 3 residential blocks. If I submit it now, the city's auditors will catch it and we'll lose the bid. I need tonight to run the numbers again and manually patch the error. It's a massive file. Richard's face turned a dangerous shade of purple, but he was a businessman first. He knew he needed my brain. "A discrepancy? God damn it, Chloe. This is why we don't wait until the last minute." He completely ignored the fact that I had been working 80-hour weeks while Samantha planned office birthday parties. "I'll have it fixed tonight," I promised, holding up the silver USB drive so the light caught it perfectly. Samantha's eyes were locked onto it like a hawk. "I've got the master copy right here on this drive. I'm going to run the diagnostics on it tonight, and I'll have the final polished version ready to plug directly into the boardroom projector tomorrow morning. No network upload. It's safer that way." Richard exhaled sharply, rubbing his jaw. "Fine. But you better not screw this up, Chloe. Your job is riding on this." "I won't let you down, Richard," I said softly. He stormed back into his office. I sat down and let out a long sigh. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Samantha furiously texting under her desk. Right on cue, my phone vibrated. A text from Liam. "Hey babe, know you're stressed about tomorrow. Let me take you to dinner tonight. My treat. Pick you up at the office at 7. My stomach churned. The memory of his text from my past life, "Don't come home," flashed in my mind like a strobe light. He was coordinating with Samantha. He was going to take me out of the office so she could swipe the drive. That sounds perfect. "I love you," I typed back. At 6:45 p.m., the office was mostly empty. I packed my bag slowly. I took the decoy silver USB drive and deliberately placed it in the center of my desk, right next to my keyboard. I left a sticky note on it that read, "Oasis Master. Do not touch." I walked out to the lobby. Liam was waiting by the elevators. He looked exactly as I remembered him on our last morning together. Tall, effortlessly handsome, with that boyish smile that had fooled me for 3 years. When he hugged me, my nose pressed against his collar. There it was. The faint, undeniable scent of Chanel No. 5, Samantha's signature perfume. "Hey, beautiful," Liam whispered, kissing the top of my head. "You ready to relax?" "I am," I smiled, digging my nails into my palms to keep from screaming. "I'm so glad to get out of there. I accidentally left my master USB drive on my desk, but the building is locked down anyway, so it's fine. I'll just grab it in the morning." Liam's eyes flickered slightly. "Oh? You left it on your desk? Is it safe?" "Of course," I laughed lightly. "Who would steal a boring real estate proposal?" During dinner, Liam was unusually attentive, keeping my wine glass full, asking endless questions about the project, ensuring my attention was entirely on him. He excused himself to the restroom twice. I didn't need to check his phone to know he was giving Samantha the green light. She had an administrative keycard. She could easily bypass the main floor security. To ensure I didn't miss a second of the show, I had left a spare smartphone hidden behind a stack of binders on my desk, angled perfectly at my workstation, running a live video feed to a private cloud server. Underneath the table, hidden by the tablecloth, I opened the app on my personal phone. The grainy, low-light footage of my cubicle loaded. At 7:42 p.m., a figure crept into the frame. Samantha. She was wearing a sleek trench coat, looking around frantically. She lunged for my desk, her manicured fingers snatching the silver USB drive with the sticky note. She shoved it into her pocket, didn't bother to check the contents, and scurried out of the frame like a rat in the night. I looked up from my phone just as Liam returned to the table, wiping his hands and smiling warmly. "Everything okay?" he asked, taking a sip of his bourbon. "Everything is perfect," I said, raising my wine glass to him. The reflection in the crimson liquid looked like blood. In fact, I think tomorrow is going to be the most unforgettable day of my career. The morning of October 16th dawned with a heavy, oppressive overcast, pregnant with the same rain that had washed my blood from the asphalt in another life. I walked into the Crestview Partners lobby at precisely 8 a.m., holding a steaming cup of black coffee. My heart beat in a slow, steady rhythm. There was no fear today, only the cold, calculated anticipation of an executioner. When I reached my cubicle, I played my part to perfection. I dropped my bag, letting out a sharp gasp. I began frantically shuffling through my papers, lifting my keyboard, tossing binders aside. No, I muttered, ensuring my voice carried over the low hum of the morning office chatter. Within seconds, Samantha was leaning over my partition, holding a green smoothie, her face the absolute picture of feigned concern. "Chloe, what's wrong? You look frantic." "My drive," I gasped, clutching my hair. "The silver USB. I left it right here on my desk last night. It had the Oasis master files. It's gone." Samantha's eyes gleamed with a predatory thrill that she desperately tried to mask behind a sympathetic pout. "Oh my God, Chloe, are you serious? But the presentation is in less than an hour. Didn't you back it up to the network?" "No," I lied, my voice shaking. "Richard told me to keep it off the network until the raw material error was patched. I patched it, saved it to the drive, and was going to upload it this morning. Someone must have taken it." "Who would steal a flash drive?" Samantha asked, patting my shoulder with condescending pity. "Maybe the cleaning crew knocked it into the trash. Oh, Chloe, Richard is going to absolutely lose his mind. You know how much this bid means to the firm." I buried my face in my hands to hide my smile. What am I going to do? "Just breathe," she cooed softly. "We'll figure something out." At 8:45 a.m., the double doors of the boardroom swung open. Richard Gable stood at the head of the massive mahogany table, adjusting his silk tie, his forehead glistening with nervous sweat. The Chicago City Council delegates, led by the notoriously stern Councilwoman Patricia Davies, were filing in and taking their seats. I sat near the back, my laptop closed, my hands folded neatly in my lap. Richard cleared his throat, plastering on a salesman's smile. "Good morning, Councilwoman Davies delegates. We are thrilled to present Crestview's vision for the Oasis Urban Revitalization Project. I assure you, our lead team has spared no expense in outlining a future that honors Chicago's rich architectural history while embracing sustainable, modern innovation." He turned to me, his smile hardening into a sharp command. "Chloe, whenever you are ready, let's load the presentation." I stood up slowly, keeping my eyes fixed on the floor. "Richard, I need to inform you of a critical issue." The boardroom went dead silent. Councilwoman Davies raised a sharply drawn eyebrow. "What kind of issue?" Richard hissed, his face draining of color. Before I could answer, Samantha stood up from her chair across the room. She was wearing a stunning, tailored crimson blazer, a power color. She looked radiant, confident, and utterly ruthless. "If I may, Richard," Samantha interjected, her voice smooth as glass. "Chloe has been under an immense amount of pressure lately. I noticed she was struggling to finalize the data last night and was expressing some deep anxieties about the structural integrity reports." Richard stared at her, caught completely off guard. "Samantha, what are you saying?" "I'm saying," she continued, turning a deeply apologetic look toward the city council members, "that I took the liberty of stepping in. Chloe unfortunately lost her files this morning due to sheer negligence. But as the co-lead on this project, I foresaw the risk. I secured the final, polished master presentation myself last night." She reached into her blazer pocket and produced the silver USB drive. "The decoy." Richard exhaled a massive sigh of relief, though his eyes burned with fury when he looked at me. "Chloe, we will be having a very serious discussion with human resources after this meeting," he snapped, throwing me under the bus instantly to save face in front of the clients. He turned back to Samantha, practically glowing with gratitude. "Samantha, exceptional initiative. Please, take the floor." I sat back down, folding my hands. "Go ahead, Samantha," I thought. "Pull the trigger." "Thank you, Richard," she beamed. She walked up to the podium, projecting absolute authority. She plugged the silver USB into the main console. The projector hummed to life, throwing a massive bright rectangle against the screen at the front of the room. "Council members," Samantha began, clicking a button on the remote. "Welcome to Oasis." The file opened. The title page appeared on the screen, exactly as I had designed it. A beautiful high-resolution rendering of the proposed skyline with the words "Oasis, a new horizon" embossed in elegant font. Right beneath it, bold and clear, read, "Prepared by Samantha Hayes." Samantha smirked, puffing her chest out slightly. "As you can see, my vision for this project is entirely focused on community integration. Let's look at the financial matrix for Phase 1. She clicked the remote. The screen transitioned. And then there was nothing. Just a glaring, blindingly white slide. Samantha blinked, her smile faltering for a microsecond. "Apologies, a slight rendering lag. The files are quite robust." She clicked the remote again. Another blank white screen. She clicked it 3 times in rapid succession. Blank, blank, blank. A heavy, suffocating silence descended upon the boardroom. Councilwoman Davies leaned forward, squinting at the glaring white void. "Ms. Hayes, is this some sort of avant-garde metaphorical presentation regarding vacant lots?" No, ma'am," Samantha stammered, her voice suddenly an octave higher. Her perfectly manicured fingers flew over the keyboard at the podium, frantically exiting out of the presentation and opening the folder on the USB drive. She opened the file titled phase_1_budget_allocation.xlsx. The Excel sheet exploded onto the screen. Every single cell from A1 to Z999 was filled with a massive red #ref exclamation point error, or entirely blanked out. She frantically clicked on structural_blueprints_final.pdf. It opened to 150 pages of pure, snowy white emptiness. "What is this?" Richard demanded, his voice cracking like a whip. He marched up to the podium, shoving Samantha aside to look at the screen. "Where is the data, Samantha? Where are the models?" I don't know," Samantha gasped, her face flushing violently. Panic was setting in, wild and feral. She whipped around and pointed a trembling finger at me. "She did this. Chloe corrupted the files. She gave me a corrupted drive." I tilted my head, feigning perfect confusion. "I didn't give you anything, Samantha. You just told the entire city council that I lost my files due to negligence, and that you secured the master copy yourself last night. How could I have corrupted files I didn't possess?" The trap snapped shut with a resounding, deafening crack. "She's lying!" Samantha shrieked, all pretense of her smooth, corporate persona vanishing. "She left this drive on her desk. I took it to back it up for her. She set me up." "You took it from my desk?" I asked, my voice calm, projecting clearly across the silent room. "So you admit to stealing my personal property after hours?" Councilwoman Davies stood up, grabbing her leather folio. Her face was a mask of sheer disgust. "Mr. Gable, we came here to review a $50 million urban development proposal, not to bear witness to a circus of corporate espionage and sheer incompetence. Crestview Partners clearly lacks the integrity and organization required for a project of this magnitude. We are leaving." "Wait, Councilwoman, please," Richard begged, literally sweating through his suit. "Just give us one moment." He turned to Samantha, his eyes bulging with rage. "You stole her drive, and it's empty. You incompetent fraud, you're fired. Get out of my building." "Richard, no, you don't understand," Samantha sobbed, clutching at his arm. He shoved her away. "Councilwoman Davies," I said, standing up. My voice was steady, anchored in absolute authority. The room paused. Davies turned to look at me. Her eyes narrowed. I reached into my bag and pulled out a heavy, black, encrypted solid-state drive. I walked past the weeping Samantha and the hyperventilating Richard, plugging my drive into a secondary port on the console. I typed in a complex alphanumeric password. "When I discovered a significant security leak within this firm," I said, locking eyes with the councilwoman, "I realized I could not entrust a project of this magnitude to an unsecured network, nor could I allow someone who fundamentally did not understand the architecture to present it to you." I clicked a button. The screen exploded into a brilliant, fully interactive 3D rendering of the Oasis project. Every street, every green space, every solar panel array was meticulously detailed. Beside it, perfectly calibrated budget projections rolled in real time, accounting for inflation, labor costs, and raw material variances. Davies stopped dead in her tracks. The other delegates slowly sat back down, mesmerized by the data on the screen. "What you saw just now," I continued smoothly, "was a decoy trap I set to identify a corporate thief. Now, if you will allow me, I would like to show you how we are going to revitalize the south side of Chicago." For the next 45 minutes, I didn't just present the project. I owned the room. I answered every question Davies threw at me with lethal precision. I knew the steel stress limits. I knew the tax subsidies. I knew the local zoning laws. When I finally finished, the silence in the room was entirely different. It was the silence of deep, profound respect. Councilwoman Davies slowly clapped her hands. "Miss Chloe," I said. "Chloe Mercer. Miss Mercer. That was, without a doubt, the most comprehensive and brilliant urban strategy I have seen in my 20 years on this council." She glanced over at Richard, who was standing in the corner, looking simultaneously relieved and terrified. "However, I will not do business with Crestview Partners. Your leadership's inability to manage their own staff and secure their intellectual property is a massive liability." Richard's jaw dropped. "Patricia, please, Save it, Richard," Davies snapped. She turned back to me, slipping a gold-embossed business card across the table. "Chloe, when you inevitably start your own firm, or find a firm worthy of your talent, call me. The Oasis contract belongs to you, not Crestview." She walked out, her delegation following her. Richard stared at me, his chest heaving. Chloe, you saved the pitch, but we lost the contract. You undermined me. No, Richard, I said, packing my encrypted drive into my leather bag. You undermined yourself the moment you let an incompetent sycophant do your thinking for you. I resign, effective immediately. I walked out of the boardroom without looking back. Samantha was sitting on the floor in the hallway, mascara running down her face in jagged black rivers, clutching a cardboard box of her desk belongings. Security was standing over her. She looked up at me, pure venom in her eyes. You ruined my life, she hissed. No, Sam, I smiled, looking down at her. I just let you carry the shovel. I took the elevator down to the lobby. As the steel doors slid open, I saw him. Liam. He was standing by the receptionist's desk, holding a massive bouquet of red roses, grinning like an idiot. He had come to celebrate Samantha's promotion. He saw me and his smile vanished, replaced by a look of sheer panic. Chloe, what are you... Why aren't you upstairs? I walked right up to him. I pulled out my phone and forwarded an email to him. It was a link to the cloud server, holding the high-definition security footage of Samantha stealing the drive from my desk, perfectly framed and time-stamped. His phone buzzed in his pocket. Check your email, Liam, I said, my voice dangerously soft. He pulled out his phone, opening the file. As he watched the footage of his mistress cementing her own destruction, his face went ashen. Samantha just got fired and escorted out by security for corporate espionage, I informed him cheerfully. And since I know you helped her coordinate the theft during our little dinner last night, you can consider this our breakup. Oh, and I sent a copy of that video to your boss at the accounting firm. I figured they'd want to know how their employees handle confidential data. Liam dropped the roses. They hit the marble floor with a pathetic thud. Chloe, wait, please. I told you not to come home, Liam, I said, throwing his exact words from my past life right back into his face. I pushed past him, walking out through the revolving glass doors and into the cool, crisp Chicago air. The rain had stopped. The clouds were breaking, revealing a stunning, vibrant blue sky. I took a deep breath, the scent of the city filling my lungs. I was alive. I was free. And I was holding a $50 million golden ticket in my bag. The graveyard was fully built, and I was exactly where I belonged, standing over it. Did you love watching karma catch up with Liam and Samantha in the most satisfying way possible? If Chloe's ultimate revenge plot had you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button. Don't forget to share this story with anyone who loves a good tale of sweet justice and corporate takedowns. Subscribe to the channel for more thrilling stories of rebirth, betrayal, and ultimate triumph. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload.